we have the latest on the iPhone SE 2021 release date and price. Could we finally be getting an iPhone SE Plus based on an iPhone XR design? And will we get an A14 chip inside? And what about other specs? Well, everything is coming right up. So last year we had a total of 5 iPhone models launched. We at the end part of the year had 4 new iPhone 12 models, and we also got the second generation iPhone SE at the beginning part of the year. Apple have put their iPhone SE model up for sale alongside the iPhone 12 models, the iPhone 11 and also the iPhone XR. The iPhone SE is one of the best budget smartphones you can buy out there, as the price starts at $400 and it's appealing, and it's still faster than most of the top line flagships in 2021 that will cost around 3 times as much as the iPhone SE. The price isn't also the best factor. The camera system is very good, and also the knowledge of software support will be around for about 4 years makes this phone very appealing to mid-range budget Android rivals out there. However, there is a bit of a downer. The screen size is only 4.7 inches, and for example, in comparison, the brand new iPhone 12 mini has a 5.4 inch screen and the body is actually smaller than the SE. However, this phone will cost you $300 more. So it only seems logical for Apple to bring in another budget phone with a bigger screen and reuse the design that has worked well already. This is where the iPhone SE Plus comes into play. It is believed that the iPhone SE Plus will replace the iPhone XR in Apple's lineup, as making a bigger screen iPhone that is comparable to the iPhone XR and its price just wouldn't make sense. Apple actually have done this before in the past, when they brought out the current iPhone SE and they discontinued selling the iPhone 8. So let's start with the release date. It was imagined for the iPhone SE Plus to come out at the Apple Spring Loaded event here in 2021, but that did not seem to happen. But, as seen here and reported by 9to5Mac, the iPhone SE Plus may not launch until the second half of 2021. This is according to Apple analyst Min-Chi Kuo. Previously predicted that the iPhone SE Plus would have a release date of the first half of 2021, but is reportedly being postponed. So why this delay? It could be because of the coronavirus pandemic and also the mentioned 4 new iPhone 12 phones launching. So it's doubtful that they would want to rush out a lower priced iPhone that could hold people holding back for the iPhone SE Plus instead for a couple of months, instead of them getting an iPhone 12 model. However, I would say it is most likely we'll be getting our hands on the iPhone SE Plus a couple of months or a few months before the iPhone 13 announcement. Next for price, there's no firm info on the possible iPhone SE Plus price yet, but the iPhone SE Plus would resemble the iPhone 8 Plus in looks. Just like the iPhone SE 2020 looks like a normal iPhone 8. So this means the classic 5.5 inch screen, and we expect Apple to charge about $100 premium over the current iPhone SE. So the iPhone SE Plus may have a price of starting around $499 for a 64GB option, jumping all the way up to 128GB, and that would cost you probably $50 more, so $549. For design, this is where it gets tricky. While some reports point to the iPhone SE Plus having a screen size of 5.5 inches, others are saying it will have a 6.1 inch panel. A lot of this depends on whether Apple decides to recycle the iPhone 8 Plus design or go in a new direction and possibly use the design of an iPhone XR. Analyst Ross Young believes that Apple could opt for a 6.1 inch LCD screen on what he is calling the iPhone SE3. However, we believe Apple will use the iPhone 8 Plus design instead to keep costs down. Sticking with the design, it would mean a 5.5 inch display and larger bezels on the top and bottom, and also Touch ID and a home button as well. As for the screen itself, we expect an LCD panel as opposed to an OLED one, which would allow Apple to keep the price down again. All 4 iPhone 12 models now have an OLED screen, so an LCD iPhone SE Plus would make sense, just like the normal iPhone SE. The most interesting rumour is that the iPhone SE Plus could also have no ports at all. Apple is said to be making an iPhone that is portless, and front page text John Prosser says that it is most likely not to be in a flagship device. This leaves the door open for the iPhone SE Plus. However, we also hear that the iPhone 13 could be a portless phone. A portless iPhone would allow Apple to ditch the Lightning port and experiment further with the MagSafe option. Reason for doing this? It wouldn't take such a big risk instead of putting a portless phone on a flagship like the iPhone 13. But for now, it's hard to say whether Apple would make this bold move with the iPhone SE Plus. For my own opinion, I am the opposite way around. I doubt we will see an SE being portless next year, and I believe it will be the iPhone 13 Pro models to be portless, if any of them. For chipset and RAM and storage, Apple may very well decide to stick with its current A13 Bionic processor that's inside the current iPhone SE for the larger iPhone SE Plus. But if the company is truly holding off until the second half of 2021, it's more likely that the iPhone SE Plus will get the same A14 Bionic chip, that's the same one we've just got in the iPhone 12, and we'll probably be getting an A15 in the iPhone 13 instead, so to put an A14 inside it a couple of months before the iPhone 13 does make sense. For RAM, we believe the SE Plus will have 4GB of RAM, just like the normal iPhone 12 models and the iPhone 12 mini. Apple could also include the same storage options as well, and this includes 64, 128GB and 256GB. For camera, the iPhone SE has a single rear 12MP camera and a 7MP selfie camera up front, but it does use that super powerful photography features of the A13 Bionic that makes photos some of the best on a budget mid-range phone. At the moment, you get portrait mode, smart HDR and extended dynamic range in 4K video. The iPhone SE Plus could be even more versatile. The iPhone 8 Plus included both a standard lens and a telephoto lens for optical zoom, and Apple may follow a similar path for an iPhone SE Plus. However, saying that, Apple went in a different direction with the iPhone 11, giving the phone two lenses, but one being an ultra-wide lens and one being a normal wide lens. And Apple did the same for the normal iPhone 12 as well. So an iPhone SE Plus will probably have two rear cameras, though we do not know if they're going to opt for a telephoto or an ultra-wide lens on that second lens on the phone. One thing I would expect from an iPhone SE Plus is night mode. It's one of the biggest missing features on the regular iPhone SE, and there's nothing that leads me to believe that Apple couldn't add it to its existing budget phone, as the software and the chipset inside the SE and the same chipset what's inside the iPhone 11 and a slightly more powerful one in the 12 features this. So the iPhone SE 2020 could be able to do this as well, so fingers crossed that the iPhone SE Plus will definitely have this inside it. One of the biggest downers though of the iPhone SE is its battery life, and it does not fare well with reviewers or even users. It has a small 1821 mAh battery that lasts around 9 hours for basic web surfing. This is well behind the 11-hour mark, which is the benchmark what is needed in 2020. The iPhone 8 Plus packed a 2675 mAh battery, which lasted over 11 hours. So the iPhone SE Plus could easily be one of the longest lasting batteries around, especially for its money. Plus, Apple may even give the phone a slightly bigger battery, and it's also presumed would get that new 5nm A14 Bionic processor, what's even more efficient than the A13 7nm processor, so we could expect a battery life between 12 to 13 hours, what is amazing. As for charging, it is still believed we'll get a lightning port on this phone, but I expect just a cable in the box. For anyone who doesn't know, when Apple released the iPhone 12 models, they also stopped putting chargers in the boxes for the iPhone 11, the XR or XR, and also the SE, what they sell from now on. Like the iPhone SE, the Plus would presumably support Qi wireless charging, so it should work on some of the best wireless chargers out there. However, I doubt it will have MagSafe magnets inside it because of the iPhone 8 Plus design. Well guys, that is the latest we have on the iPhone SE Plus. What are your initial thoughts on it? And will you purchase one on release, or do you think you'll get yourself the likes of an iPhone 12 or a 13 instead? Let me know in the comments below. So it's time to wrap this up. If you have liked this video, please do press the like button, and also at the same time, to get the latest gaming news, tech news, reviews and comparisons, please do hit that subscribe button followed by the bell. Until next time guys, see you soon.